Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again on another rousing episode of Nerds of the Round Table. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for episode number 2. They didn't kick us immediately off the air after watching the first one, so thank heavens for that. I'm joined today actually by a different cast of crew you may recognize on my right, Mr. Jeremy Dasato. And on my left, however, is a newcomer to the world of Nerds of the Round Tables, Mr. Jonathan Nunez. Mr. Jonathan Nunez has been a longtime friend of mine and also a Marvel nerd such as myself, so we welcome him to the show with high hopes and expectations. So what's different from this week's episode as compared to last week's episode is that this week we're going to start talking about interests and comic book movies. In honor of Avengers Age of Ultron premiering today, we decided to gather up our list of the top 5 favorite comic book movies as personalized by ourselves. And we're just going to talk about them today and tell you why we think that they are our favorites. And hopefully you can take a look at these opinions and find them, you know, valuable to yourself and maybe form your own opinions based on what we've said. So everyone here has formed their own list. We have it right down on this master sheet of paper that is ripped at the bottom. But don't pay attention to that. Movie magic. Whoosh. Yeah. So, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off and we're each gonna read our lists and give you a short explanation of why we think that they're at the top of the list. And, you know, feel free to listen to our explanations and have a good time enjoying them. So I'll start off first, if you guys don't mind. Feel free to interject at any time if you have any questions or anything like that. This is a roundtable discussion, so go for it. So number 5 on my list is something that's on number 1 for a lot of people's list and actually was on number 1 on my list for the longest time. However, after rewatching several movies, I've come to find out, you know, it's actually down there for me, believe it or not, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, but The Avengers, Marvel's The Avengers, yes, is on my number 5 spot. Mostly because, I mean, it's a fantastic movie, but I have a personal bias towards origin stories. I don't like origin stories. And while you could say, oh, well, they're already superheroes, Luke, and S.H.I.E.L.D's already there, and they just brought them together. Well, here's the thing, is that it's still an origin story. And it just still bothers me that the title character, the Avengers, doesn't even premiere until, like, you know, an hour into the movie. And don't get me wrong, that scene was amazing, and all the other scenes were fantastic, but it just, I mean, that's why it's number 5. It's not like number 300. Next on my list, number 4, is a movie that actually came out recently, still sticking with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As I mentioned earlier, I am a massive Marvel fan, is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So why I thought this movie was great is it showed that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in its aspect, could change on a chin. You know what I mean? They revealed, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Captain America: Winter Soldier, but it showed that the Hydra was actually S.H.I.E.L.D. all along and stuff like that. And basically, everything that you knew and loved from even Iron Man 1, where they introduced Phil Coulson, all the way up to past the Avengers, is just destroyed. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D's gone, Hydra's there, too bad, all right. So that's why I think it's like really fantastic to see that they're ready to shift the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That it's not like afraid of change. You know what I mean? And they can still change it and make it good. Earning the number 3 spot on my list, personally, is Batman Returns. Tim Burton's Batman Returns from 1992, 2, 3, 4? 4? 5.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
One of those years.
I have my phone. Anyways, because I really like this movie because, as I said, I do have a certain bias towards origin stories, and while the first Batman movie was not an origin story in this aspect, it still was kind of origin-y to me. The second movie I thought is much better due to the wonderful, wonderful acting. I blame this all on the villains. Max Schreck, the Penguin, and Catwoman. I blame my entire loving of this movie on the villains. Because, you know, Batman was great, don't get me wrong, Michael Keaton is amazing, but these villains put up stellar performances and really set for me the standard which I put for, like, Batman-level villains. And, I mean, honestly, that's why I was very impressed with the Heath Ledger interpretation of the Joker, and why I wasn't so impressed with a lot of the Batman villains like the Scarecrow. Second on my list, and this is going to surprise a lot of people because first off, I actually found out a lot of people didn't realize this was a comic book movie, and secondly, it's a more obscure movie. It's more of a cult classic. Is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I love this movie. It was at the top of my list until last night, which, you know, I know it's hard to think, but it was on the top of my list until last night. It's a perfect cast. The casting is amazing. It's a star-studded, wonderful, wonderful experience. It never gets old. I've watched it thousands of times, and it makes me laugh, it makes me cry, and all the references to video games and comic books and nerddom, while still, like, it answers the question, what if real life was like a video game? That's what it says. It shows, like, what would be real life be like? You took some awkward, like the most awkwardest, nerdiest dude ever, and you just threw him into a live video game and just go. And it's amazing movie. And I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, check it out, because everyone I've recommended to that's watched it, they've loved it.
Except for me.
You didn't like it?
No, dude, I never really got into the Scott Pilgrim, comic book. And when I watched it, it was just, the actor's so incredibly awkward. And you said, you were like saying that it's a pro, and I just like, it's so unbearable to watch.
Well, that's the joke, though. That's the
joke. Yeah, that's the joke, because he's just awkward. Like, he's
like
the wheel.
Guy, you wouldn't expect him to be like the main character.
Yeah, he puts the wheel in his head, and he's like, I gotta pee on her.
I'm biased. I just don't like that actor. I'm biased.
Yeah, no, it's okay to be biased. Like I said, I mean, most of these, I don't have an origin story on my list except for the Avengers, which I mean, you can't consider it an origin, but yeah. No, I get your point. Top of my list, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, and by that I mean it's going to surprise absolutely no one, is Avengers: Age of Ultron. I could just be still in the mode I was in when I saw it last night. And I know most of the people in the set and most of you watching at home probably haven't seen it yet. So I'll keep all the spoilers out of it, but basically everything that I didn't like about the first Avengers movie was fixed. It was changed. It was taken over. So I didn't like how the Avengers didn't show up most of the time. The Avengers, they were a team the whole movie. They were already doing the cool, remember the end of the Avengers, right? When they had the cool scene where they were just flying around, like Tony Stark was like blasting America's shield and he was doing that, and then Thor like smacked the hammer that Hulk put the thing down in the back, and like that was the whole movie. That's what Avengers felt like for me. And Ultron is just beautiful. I don't even know how to say this, but I am in love with Ultron, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a new fetish.
He gives me heart problems. Like, Ultron gives me heart problems.
You're not even mad that they didn't put his creator in the movie?
I'm not even mad, because the way they did it was fantastic. Like, honestly, because I first, when I saw it, like, I'm one of those guys that, watches a Marvel movie and goes, but in the comics, it wasn't like that. It was totally different, and, like, Hank Pym went there, and I'm the same way. Like, when I watch Marvel movies, I didn't even notice it. I didn't even care. Like, everyone, it was just, the action was on point. There was never a dull moment. Every single moment was filled with something, either laughing, getting hyped up, crying hysterically. Like, it was everywhere. And the cameos were real. As I say cameos, and yes, there was a Stan Lee cameo, and it was excellent. I mean, like, references to other comic book characters, everything was set up. Like, welcome to Phase 3, ladies and gentlemen. This is what showed it. And it was nonstop action and adventure, and it was just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful movie. And for anyone who's a Marvel fan, I highly recommend it. All right, so that's my list, and I've babbled for a long time now, but I think we're going to turn the table over to Mr. John Nunez, my new guest, and I'm going to give him the right. He's going to talk about his top 5 comic book movies, and, I hope you enjoy.
Well, to start off my list at 5, I had this whole I couldn't decide whether or not to put Captain America or the Wolverine as my number 5 spot. I like them both, but in the end, I kind of had to go with the Wolverine more, because the Captain America movie, like you said, it's an origin. It's an origin to not even a Marvel movie. It's just what was it, a government-made comic book?
Yeah.
That's what it started out as.
Yeah, it started out as a Timely Comics, I believe, before it was, because Stan Lee wasn't even at Marvel, so it was before the modern incarnation of Marvel.
So and then The Wolverine, I don't know, I just liked it so much, especially since like the beginning, it starts off with just a part about the comic book, you know, because
Yeah.
like the beginning part where he like kills a bear and then he goes to like, what do you do?
He goes to the bar.
Oh yeah, he went to.
Yeah, he tries to
I'm
take
sorry,
out the guy.
sorry.
Yeah, don't
He
worry
goes to
about
the bar and he like kills that. Well, he didn't kill the guy, but like I just found that so amazing to watch because like that was like the first issue. Like I'm pretty sure it was the first issue of the Wolverine comic book. That's how it started out as, and I just love that they put that scene in there. And the rest of the movie, it's just like nonstop action. I like it. Well, not all the time action, but there's some 1 or 2 scenes in there. But every scene in there is still enjoyable to watch until like the very end.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that ending.
It was almost a perfect movie. Almost.
Well, for number 4, I put Iron Man, just because I just really liked Iron Man. Just like the idea of that this man is like basically he's like the Batman of like the Marvel series. He's like the Batman of the Marvel series because he's just a normal man who's a genius, but he uses his own like skills to make a suit for him to be able to fight crime and other things like that. I'm reading the paper, but I'm sorry. I gotta go with the next thing. Spider-Man 1. Okay. Spider-Man 1 is my number 3 spot. Just because it just showed this one is my favorite superhero in general. I just love Spider-Man. Just because he's like the man who was never really encouraged to be anything. No one ever really thought anything of him. He was just this nerd that no one liked. And he ended up being one of the best superheroes ever made in general. And so like Spider-Man just has a very deep place in my heart and just very biased, but it's in number 3 because I have better movies that I like to watch. But what about Spider-Man 1 that really got me was that it just showed everything perfect. He was a nerd that ended up becoming a hero, and throughout the whole movie, it's just he's still battling with whether or not he wants to be Spider-Man. Not many other superheroes have that. But the next place in my list is 2 for the Avengers. The Avengers, I really like the Avengers because it just showed for the first time the group all together, like what you've always wanted and always expected out of the Marvel movies for there to be was just a group of all these superheroes battling each other out. Well, not each other out, but the villain.
Well, they did beat each other up pretty
Well,
much.
yeah, in the
Most
beginning of the
the
movie, I guess, but
most of the movie. Doth mother know you are wearing her curtains?
But the thing is, it's not my number 1 spot because it just didn't like what like Luke said. Like it was basically like no action until the very middle and end to the movie. I didn't enjoy that, but I really liked the scenes where they just fought each other. Honestly,
Yeah, that was
those are like the best parts.
Well, because it's a family. It's a family
And like
movie,
throughout the movie, you could really see the tension between all of them, which they usually do have in the comic books. It's just they don't really agree with each other, but they still work it out just to be able to finish their goal and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
My number 1 spot is Spider-Man 2 because that's like my favorite movie of all time, Spider-Man 2, because it perfectly showed out how Spider-Man is in the comics. He's just a man who doesn't want to be Spider-Man. He doesn't think he needs to be Spider-Man. People constantly show him that he's not the best. He's not anywhere near as the other superheroes could be. Like Iron Man, no, not Iron Man, but like superheroes like Thor and things could easily outpower Spider-Man any day. But what I really enjoyed about Spider-Man 2 was that it just emphasized the fact that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man. And I really like that fact because not many other superheroes want to stop being the superhero that they are. And I really enjoyed the fact that throughout the whole movie, he was just struggling with that issue of being Spider-Man until he realized that with great power comes great responsibility, and he needed to be Spider-Man for the greater good of all. Well, that's how I felt about it. Yeah. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Well, what did you think about I liked Spider-Man 2, but I honestly thought the way that Doc Ock was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, I really didn't like Doc Ock.
They could have. Alfred Molina freaking killed it. Like let's not mess around here. He was awesome as Doc Ock, but I don't like the way he was portrayed. Like, all right, so remember, if everyone remembers up to the episode last week where I did that quote of the day about Kevin Feige messaging Amy Pascal about Spider-Man, is why does every single supervillain have to have a tragic backstory? And that's what I don't like about Alfred Molina, or not Alfred Molina, as Doc Ock. Because why does he have to be tragic? We need to hate him. He needs to be a horrible person, and we need to be like Spider-Man. You punch him in the tentacles,
Yeah,
like
I didn't like at the very end how they like made Doc Ock just suddenly all of a sudden just be like a good guy. I didn't find.
Well,
that.
that's it. That's what you get with tragic
especially
villains.
like in the newer comics, he basically killed Spider-Man off.
I hate tragic villains. I do because they're a villain. Their main
Basically-
point is for you to hate them.
Basically, every Spider-Man movie for the Tobey Maguire series has like a tragic villain.
That's it. Well, that's why
That's why Spider-Man 3 isn't even on my list. It's horrible. I hate it.
Oh God, no! Don't. Ugh, Spider-Man
I didn't even
3.
mention it.
Oh, I want to forget that. Oh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I mean. The worst line ever. Jeremy,
Wait a
over
second.
to you.
That was a
Before
pretty
you say
beautiful
worst
line.
line, I need to say dishonorable mentions. Batman versus Robin.
Okay.
Batman versus Robin. So, just want to mention that Arnold Schwarzenegger was probably one of the best Mr. Freezes of all time.
I think he really
Not
defined this
seriously.
generation.
I mean,
No.
seriously, he was like the only Mr. Freeze. Like they've never done Mr. Freeze after that because it was so
Because-
Yeah,
bad.
that was the
Because
reason
he has
why.
such a bad reputation now because of that. Chill out.
I thought
What
Jim,
killed the dinosaurs?
Okay.
Acid.
And
I thought Jim Carrey was a pretty good Riddler.
Okay, Jim
Yeah.
Carrey was a great Riddler. No one will deny
that's
that.
just his like persona
And again,
in general.
he
It's
was
just
like
it's
the
like
only
that
Riddler.
type of like archetype.
Yeah.
And dishonorable mention number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy, and everyone is gonna hate me for that
I don't hate you.
because,
I hate you.
especially this one.
I don't hate you at all.
So, it was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining, but it was just not good. And that brings me to my number 5, Batman Adam West edition.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
the
days you just
the
can't
bat
ruin
shark
them.
repellent scene was the best scene of all time. That shark was so fake that it hurt. It actually genuinely hurt my soul how fake the shark was. And then when he goes like hard and just sprays the shark off, and then it falls down and explodes. It was not a good movie, but it was fun. It was fun. That's
what it
all
is.
that
It's
matters
fun.
in the world.
You know
It
what I
was
mean?
fun.
That's why it was such a great movie.
And what I saw last night, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I don't think anything more could be explained about this movie. I think Luke already pretty much covered everything there is to know about this movie. And number 3 is Blade, which honestly I didn't know was a comic book movie until recently.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
Marvel property.
Really? Okay, well, it was still a good movie. The poor actor, though, he
Wesley Snipes.
yeah, he got hit for tax evasion.
No, really?
Really, a long
Oh,
while ago.
I heard he's the worst to work with on set. Literally.
I don't know
read a
him. I don't know
story-
him personally, so I can't really
Yeah, I read a
say.
story of like somewhere about like he was on Blade Trinity. He would like not come out of his trailer except for filming, and he would like you can't look at Mr. Snipes. You can't even breathe the same air as Mr. Snipes. And I'm like, wow. Like we have like superheroes
Bruh.
visiting hospitals now, and Wesley Snipes is like, don't even look at me. Like seriously?
And I just want to say that like I've been like biased towards vampires for a long time. I think it's really cool. I'm just glad they're not being milked dry like zombies. Who said that?
Who said that? I think it was us last.
I think
week.
it was.
last week.
It
yeah.
was.
Yeah, we
it
did.
was us because
Zombies are out, people.
out.
Mentioning it one more time. Zombies
And
are out.
you know, I think nobody's gonna be surprised with my number 2, which is Batman Returns. It was just so good. The villains were phenomenal. I mean, I thought that the Batman portrayal by Christian Bale was really good. Although I absolutely loathe the fact that he has something in his mouth for some reason. The entire, you know, every single movie has something in his mouth.
He always has his lips out too. He's like, where are the drugs? Where's Rachel? Where's Rachel?
And also,
Where's the Joker?
you know, Dark Knight
don't
would have
think he did
also
that.
made my list, so I'm gonna make that a honorable mention because Heath Ledger was phenomenal,
May
and
rest in peace.
Christian Bale was a good Batman, but his voice just ruined it and killed it for me. And nobody's gonna be surprised with number 1 on my list, Avengers. I mean, do I really need to explain myself? It's just everything you'd want in a movie, everything you'd want in a comic book movie.
Except action.
Yeah.
You there.
Look, I mean, all right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this now. Because, I mean, the reason, all right, so you guys may have noticed this, that,
Nobody noticed it. Nope.
that,
Okay, about it.
so this cup I have I got it at the premiere of the first Avengers movie, because I'm cool like that. And, yeah, you can hold it. Okay, you can no longer hold it. Okay, so, yeah, so I loved that movie. When I first saw it, man, it was the bomb diggity. I was like, all the characters I read, they're fighting, and Loki, and then Thanos, and like, it's just, but there's nothing. Like, you guys both had it high on your list,
know what?
but I just, after analyzing it, I've seen it time after time, and analyzing the crap out of it, it just drops for me.
I put it so high on my list because it was like what you really wanted out of a Marvel movie was a group of superheroes fighting together.
Exactly.
That's all you ever wanted.
Thank you. But I do admit that Loki was kind of on the weaker side of villains.
Okay, no, I thought he was the one good thing about that movie.
What?
Yeah, I loved
Are you
Loki.
kidding me?
He was the best. Like, when he walked through, he's just classy as all heck. Just like, he's like, hey, what's going on, guys?
like-
And he just beats the dude with his cane, rips out his eyeball. Like, come on, that's a cool. And like I said,
I'm not saying he wasn't.
We hate him. We have full reason to hate him. Like, he's tragic, yeah, because, I mean, think back to Thor. He's like, oh, look at Lafayette.
Yeah, but he's also kind of like a heartthrob to too many squealing girls.
Okay, that would be a reason to
many
not
fan
like him, but
fictions
like...
being-
Okay, that's probably the
But even
bias.
still,
That's probably biased. But you know, as we all are, we're all biased. We all love and hate
Everyone's
these movies.
biased. Look, all right, comic
Except
book
nobody's
fans-
biased towards the
Yeah.
Batman and
Yeah.
versus
I was
Robin
biased
movie.
to my Spider-Man. It probably isn't like
Comic
should
book
have been
fans,
so high on my
don't
list.
feel ashamed out there if you don't like any of these movies, or if you don't like, you know, if you're talking to your friends and they're like, well, I hate this. Everyone is biased. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's no such thing as no bias when it comes to comic books, because everyone has a personal preference, because each superhero speaks to them in a different level. You know what I mean? Obviously, if, you know, like John and I, we look like Spider-Man, we're dorks. Spider-Man's a dork, you need spider power. So, you know, yeah. Well, he's a girlfriend, yeah. Not talking about that.
I don't think the same can be said for it.
Yeah, so like each superhero is going to appeal to you. So there's always going to be a bias about something. But anyways, moving on, just wanted to include that. But why so high? That's what I don't get. Why so high on your list? Like, especially Avengers Age of Ultron. You can't tell me that was not better than the first movie.
Okay. While I do admit that it was better, it's just the fact that it came when it did. When I was disappointed with the movies being released at the time, it came out and I was blown away. That would probably be why it's so high on my list.
Yeah.
But going back to Spider-Man real quick though. Oh God, that chick. Why was she even in the movie? She contributed absolutely nothing.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Who? I mean,
Which
I
Spider-Man?
don't even. The regular Spider-Man 1 and
MJ?
2.
What
was her
Kirsten
name?
Dunst
What was her name?
As Mary Jane Watson?
Yeah, there we go. I forgot her name completely.
Oh, she was the worst.
MJ,
The only thing...
that's your
She was just there.
MJ.
She was just there, kind of
I'm
like.
sorry, Kirsten Dunst. Like,
Hey,
fix your teeth,
in
man.
the second
Fix
movie,
your teeth. I'm
in the
done.
second movie, they ended it with that the most famous like comic book quote of all time is, "Go get him, Tiger."
Go get in the title. But
All right.
her teeth are so small. It bothers me. It bothers me. You know what? Don't even
Honorable
tell you
mention-
it doesn't bother you.
Another honorable mention is the what was it called? The new X-Men movie. It was
Days of
Days
Future
of
Past.
Future
Yes, that one was so
That,
good. That
okay,
one was really good.
Okay, that almost made my list. Like,
Yeah,
I was typing it up.
That was
and I
probably
was
number
like,
6.
I didn't put like a single X-Men movie on my list just because by the time of the first movie, they veered straight off.
Yeah.
Straight off the comic
Like, the
book
first
line.
movie,
And
they
for
were
me,
like, oh, it's
it's
a
like
little
a
bit
really
off, and
big
then-
problem. It's
yeah.
like to not be focused on
The
comic
X-Men
books.
universe is about as continuous as, like, I don't know, something really not continuous. Like, it's just that bad.
I only put Wolverine on it because they just focus solely on Wolverine. Like one of not like in my top 5, but still one of my most favorite like
Apocalypse is going to be good, though.
superheroes of all time. Apocalypse? You mean
X-Men Apocalypse, yeah.
I didn't
It
even know that
looks
was coming
on
out.
point. I mean, go look it up, folks, if you've seen online. But there's been set photos and everything like that, and you can see like Jubilee. She looks exactly like '80s Jubilee from the TV show. It's right on, man. But anyways, so that actually helps me think. So
It's kind of weird. You should kind of like
see, let's-
think to yourself why that helps you think.
Reevaluate your life.
80s actors Jubilee.
all right, so you know, you've heard a lot today from the comic book movies and stuff like that. And as I said, everyone has a bias. So I hope that from our lists, you've been able to gather something important from what we've said and just understood what's going on. You know, if you feel like checking us out anywhere else, go check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdsoftheroundtableshow. We're going to be on there to discuss various things that happen as well as little news. I will be starting to do my own personal voice work on the news, so you can check out new videos on our channel at all time at YouTube, Nerds of the Round Table. Nerds of the Round Table, I was thinking show, like the Facebook page. I'll start to be doing new stuff, so you can check that out on the channel all the time. So if you have any discussion with us, please like us on Facebook, check us out on YouTube, comment on the section, comment on Facebook. Most of the time, one of us will be able to reply to you and give you the best response to your answer. And if you even just want to have a discussion, bring it up. We could maybe talk about it on the next show. If somebody poses a question that's really in depth and I really want to focus on, then that's going to be the topic of the next show. So please submit your ideas and submit your questions, and we'd be happy to talk about them.
Wait, I made an error before.
What do you make an
The
error?
most famous comic book quote is, "Face the tiger, you just hit the jackpot." I don't know why I said "Go get him, tiger." I'm gonna say that.
Go Get 'Em,
before
Tiger was, like,
anyone-
second.
Anyone sends me any kind of
Any
spam.
angry
Any
emails?
angry emails.
I'm
I
sorry,
would
how can you
expect
call
that.
yourself a Spider-Man fan if you got the thing wrong?
Yeah.
So-
And honestly, if we made any inconsistencies or errors, don't hate us. We're people. We love you. We love you. Love us. Love us.
Yeah,
So wait, there's no hashtag.
there's no hashtags.
We don't use hashtags. We're normal
use pound
individuals.
All right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching another rousing episode of Nerds of the Round Table and supporting us for yet another week. This has been a dream of mine to get off the ground. I'm really happy that everyone can come with me tonight. So thank you very much, folks, and have a great night.